that there's recently been a 17.5% cut in federal funds for the Community Development Block Grant. Can you tell us a little bit more about that 17.5% cut?
Congress and the President negotiate, try and work out a budget. And unfortunately, at least from my perspective, the CDBG program appears to be low-hanging fruit. And so they both agreed that this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a 17.5% cut in these tough economic times in an attempt to balance the budget. Now, personally, I don't think that those cuts are going to make a big deal when it comes to trying to close the deficit gap, but this is just one of many things that the Congress and the President saw fit to cut. Now, over the last 2 years, we've actually seen a 36.8% reduction. And the reason that we were hit harder in Carlisle is because of the way the federal formula is calculated. Basically, other communities in the U.S. saw larger increases in their poor population than Carlisle did. So therefore, Congress thought, all right, we need to give these folks more in funding because Carlisle is not as bad off, thank God, as some of these other communities that have seen, like, increased mortgage foreclosures and just an overall increase in the number of folks applying for benefits and the number of poor increasing.
What are the actual amount of dollars that typically have gone in per year annually into the Community Development Block Grant? What kind of numbers have we traditionally gotten, and what is this cut going to mean to that number?
Well, in 2010, the CDBG budget for the entire nation was $4.4 billion. In 2011, that got cut down to $3.5 billion, and this year, 2012, it's $3 billion. And what that translated to for Carlisle was that we went from 461,772 in 2010 to 292,005. Now, the good thing for Carlisle is that we were able to supplement that cut with $26,000 in program income from the loan payments that we get from the local businesses that we loan money to. We have a loan pool for economic development for shop setting, and that money is paid back to us, and we use that money to loan out other loans.
What is the immediate impact then for these federal budget cuts on the Community Development Block Grant Program in Carlisle specifically?
Well, it means that we are going to have to, it will slow down or eliminate some projects that we have. That's the immediate effect.
And what are some of those projects?
The shop setting loans that were in the pipeline that we were going to loan out to help people open a new business. We won't be able to help as many seniors, low to moderate income folks with our facade improvement grant to help you fix up your home to make it more energy efficient. Basically, we have to do more with less. And our staff did a very good job of crafting a budget that was able to meet those needs, but we're just not going to be able to help as many people.
Well, there's a key motto right now is more with less. It seems like from a federal level to a state level to a local level, even to a family level, people are really struggling to come up with ways to do more with less. What do you believe that some alternative solutions could be to these lost dollars in the current cuts?
Well, from a 50,000-foot level, I would rather just see Congress freeze the funding at a certain level, say $4 billion, until such time as the economy improves. That could be one thing. Also, communities could do a loan pool like we do to supplement the cuts, because the cuts would have been really severe for us if we didn't have the ability to have program income. So I think that's the solution. Communities need to get creative with the funds that they have, create some sustainable funding on their own that could potentially grow, but at least you've got a stable funding source.
You and I have often talked in the past, and some of the other podcasts, if people listen to those, conservative ideas versus liberal political ideas often don't play out at a local level because it's more of just specific needs that are taken care of.
Right.
But when it comes to issues like this, especially when it comes to budget cuts from federal dollars coming into the local community, it does get back to questions about how can citizens self-govern themselves in a different way? How can citizens get involved in some of these things and not necessarily have reliance on the federal government, but come up with solutions to some of the challenges that are facing the local level? And so you mentioned that they might, the local community might have to come up with some creative ways to do that. So I think it'd be interesting to anyone listening to this specific segment of the MediaCast is to come up and brainstorm with some potential solutions to dealing with or addressing how some of the gaps might be filled due to the federal cuts as well. I think that's where the people could get really involved.
Absolutely, and one of the basic tenets of CDBG is that the citizens have a voice. That's why we have to do everything in a public forum. Citizens are always invited to come and share their thoughts on how we're spending the money. If we're not doing it the way the community wants us to, then they need to tell us. But quite frankly, I chaired the first meeting about our action plan, and other than a reporter, there was nobody else in the room.
Right, and so this is one of the ways that the local government might be able to reach out and get more feedback from people. Some sort of the things that we're doing here right now in MediaCast. So, for whatever reason, the turnout ratio is not very high for local meetings, so that people can get their input. And even a lot of people that do show up to those meetings aren't necessarily well prepared with a working knowledge of what the issues are. There might be means for not only the local government to get issues out in front of the people using media, using social media, using MediaCasts like this, but there also may be ways for the local private citizen to be able to hear or respond regarding the community development block grant, using media to reach out, sell their solutions to local government, potential solutions where, it seems like the great need in local politics, and you have much more experience in it, but it seems like a great need not only in local politics, but federal politics and state politics is more of a partnership between the leadership and the individual citizen. So,
really, at the local level, that is where that can actually take place.
Yeah, and I think that's just getting that message out there, getting the knowledge to the people, having people being able to respond to that, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's at church, or whether it's on Facebook or whatever social media people might be using, just to open up the communication and to be able to really share and have a partnership between the local government and the people. And that's what willofthepeople.us is really focused on. That's our premise, is to really empower people to come up with solutions and ideas, not just to sit back, let the process happen to them, but to really be aware of what's going on and be able to engage in a self-governing type of way to be able to create a partnership with their local leaders.
And funny you mentioned partnership. I just want to throw this one statistic out there. For every dollar of CDBG funding, it leverages $1.62 in private non-CDBG dollars. This is a program that works, but we need the help of the citizens to stop the bleeding, as it were.
It's really great hearing just a general idea of what is happening in a particular issue that the local community in Carlisle, Pennsylvania is facing, and then trying to think about ways to create some solutions for it. So, Councilman Scott, I thank you very much for your time on willofthepeople.us tonight, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Jason. Be happy to come back anytime.